What is up, ladies and gents? In today's video, we're going to be talking all about SAI. We're going to be discussing what we are seeing here on the charts, and I'll be giving you guys my price prediction for SAI over the coming days and weeks, as well as my targets for 2025. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit the like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you all here. So, of course, we're going to be diving straight into this video. We're going to start off with the shorter term here on SAI. So what we think is going to happen over the coming days and weeks. And of course, we are on the one-day chart right now. And as you guys can see here on SAI, over the past few weeks, it's been pretty good for the price. We've essentially seen the prices over more than double, from a low of 0.15 to a high of 0.38. And so essentially the question now becomes, where do we think SAI is headed? And of course, in the shorter term, as well as the longer term, I do think prices are going to be going quite a lot higher. And I'll explain the reasons why in this video. Now, of course, just a quick note here on SAI. This was a token that you, the viewer, has recommended. I've seen quite a few of you comment SAI in the comments down below, and that is why I am making this video. Of course, after you guys commented that, I took a look at the chart and I really do like what I see. So this is why we are here right now. Of course, on the one-day charts, if we just zoom out a little bit, the picture here on SAI has been The picture here on SAI for the first part of 2025 had been quite boring, if we are being honest. Of course, since the start of the year, you can see that SAI had been in this downtrend. Now, of course, prices started off at 0.72 and hit a low there of 0.13. So quite a bit of a drop. And then we saw prices bounce in this area. And so for the past few months, since that downtrend, SAI had actually been consolidating in between these two trend lines that you see here on the screen. So we've got this upper resistance here on SAI, and we had this lower support line here on SAI. And essentially, this chart pattern is a triangle chart pattern. It looks like a triangle, and basically the two trend lines are converging into each other. And so essentially, if we see a breakout from this pattern here, we get a measurable price target. Now, of course, just a few weeks ago, as you guys can see here on the chart, the prices here on SAI indeed broke out above this upper resistance line. So we saw a bullish breakout. We saw the trading volume down here increase. So as you can see, the trading volume was low, and then we saw this massive spike in trading volume as the prices broke out, which validates the breakout. We saw prices come back down to retest this upper resistance line as a support, and we saw the prices continue its uptrend. So the price action that we are seeing right now looks very, very good, and I do think it is going to continue in the shorter term. And the price target that I have here for SAI in the shorter term is the price target stemming from this triangle. And to get that price target, all we do is measure the first test of support down here to the first test of resistance, which is up here. We drag this measuring tool to where we saw the breakout, which was on the 23rd of June. And as you guys can see, as you guys can see, the price target from this triangle gives us a target here on SAI in the shorter term of 0.58. So it was 123% from where we saw the breakout, and from where the prices currently stand, it's still a 57% upside. Now, of course, if you are a longer term holder here on SAI, this is probably not that interesting to you, but I do think that this shorter term move up to 0.58 might also kickstart something much bigger here in the longer term. But obviously, before I speak about the longer term, there's a few other things that I want to say about the shorter term. And that is also the fact that if we have a look at this uptrend so far, we are getting a few signs that we might see a bit of a correction in the very short term. So over the coming days, what we could potentially see, in fact, is something like this, where we see a dip over the next few days before we see that uptrend continue up to that price target of 0.58. And the reason for that is that even though the prices are heading up, so if I draw the resistance of these two peaks that we see here, we've seen higher highs on the price. If you look at the trading volume, we are seeing this negative divergence. And of course, that is a bit of a bearish sign here for the very short term, which just means that we could see a little bit of a dip before prices continue to head upwards. Of course, if I get the MACD and I look on the 4-hour chart, we are also seeing a very similar divergence where the two peaks are getting lower on the MACD, but on the price, they are heading upwards. So this, guys, when you see it, when the price is heading upwards, but the volume and the MACD are heading downwards, that is a bearish divergence, and it could tell you that we could see a trend reversal in the near future. So a potential short-term bearish trend before this bullish trend continues. And just to show you how powerful these divergences are when you see them, have a look at the divergence between the lows here on SAI and on the MACD, and both times they have told us that we are going to see a trend reversal in the near future. Now, of course, we are on the one-day chart right now, and as you can see over the same time frames, we've seen the MACD heading upwards, but the price heading downwards. So this is exactly the opposite. When we see that in a bearish trend, this is a bullish divergence, and that could tell us that we would see a new bullish trend emerge sooner rather than later. And in both cases, we have indeed started to see a new bullish trend emerge when we've seen a divergence between the MACD and the price. So these divergences here on the MACD are pretty powerful. So if you are looking to time the bottoms and the tops here on SAI, this is definitely one very strong way that you could be using to do that. Of course, don't forget, if you want to get $10 completely free to buy some SAI, then don't forget to check out the MEX exchange. As you can see on the screen, they're giving every user who signs up using the link in the description down below $10 to get started. And remember, this exchange does not require KYC to buy and sell crypto. All you need to do to claim this $10 is to deposit some fiat currency or crypto into your new made MEX account, and then they'll give you that bonus straight away. So like I say, you can simply buy some SAI with it, or you can long or short SAI using the MEX futures with up to 100 times leverage. Of course, guys, once again, link for this is in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Let's get back into this video. So, of course, this is SAI here in the shorter term. The rest of the crypto market is supporting the fact that we should be seeing higher here on SAI. The fact that Bitcoin is heading to new all-time highs. We saw 123K on Bitcoin just over the past few hours. And of course, if we go on the one-day chart, you can see that Bitcoin also had this consolidation period over the same time frame that SAI had its consolidation period within this triangle. And as you guys can see, over the past few days, Bitcoin has broken out of this consolidation, which is a bull flag, and it gives Bitcoin a price target of 149,000. So essentially, if Bitcoin's making its way up to 149,000, it's going to pull the rest of the crypto market with it, and SAI has a much better chance of also heading up whilst Bitcoin is making new all-time highs as well. So that is going to add a bullish bias here for us in SAI. Of course, for the longer term now, so we discussed the shorter term, we discussed why SAI should generally be bullish, although we might see a dip over the coming days. And essentially, for the longer term, if we just in fact get rid of these annotations, let's just zoom out for the whole chart here in SAI. Basically, what SAI has been showing us has been this extremely long-term consolidation that looks something a little bit like this. So essentially, we've been basically in this very long-term channel where prices have just been heading downwards and downwards and downwards, and this has lasted now for nearly 2 years. And so what I was saying about the shorter term and that price target from that triangle is that if the prices reach that short-term target of 0.58, that would also mean that we break out to the upside from this resistance. So 0.58 is actually here, and as you guys can see, if the price target of that triangle is met, then we also break out of this downtrend that we've been seeing here on SAI over the past few years. And essentially, the price target that I have in mind here for SAI fall along these Fibonacci levels. And we use these levels because, as you guys can see, the prices of SAI have respected them as places of support and resistance. So, for example, you can see that on the way down this downtrend, the price of SAI came up to the 0.786 fib to test it as a resistance. We can see 0.618 has been used a lot as well. Most recently, during this pump today, the prices came basically onto the 0.5 fib here, right on the dot, and we have seen a bit of a rejection from this level. So we've got a strong resistance right by where the price is right now, just because the fib level is there. So if the prices break out of this range here, this downtrend that SAI has been in for the past few years, I do think that prices could easily get back up to the previous all-time high at $1.15. And the main targets that I have here for SAI, resulting from a breakout to the upside of this resistance, are these upper two fib levels here. So the 1.414 fib there gives us a target of $2.76. That's my conservative target for 2025. And of course, my ambitious target for 2025 is $4.34 according to these fib levels. So those are my two main targets here for SAI in 2025. Additionally as well, if we treat this consolidation more as a very long-term triangle, so something that looks like this instead, of course, we could also look at a price target from the distance of the first test of support to the first test of resistance. If we just drag that to wherever we might see a breakout, as you guys can see, that price target is roughly $5.45. So pretty close actually to this upper fib here at 1.618. And so actually that gives me a bit more conviction to the fact that we could be hitting somewhere around this region as the target for 2025. And lastly, guys, for the best possible chance to reach these upper price targets here in SAI in 2025, ideally what we need to see are these two indicators showing us some really high numbers. So we're on the CoinMarketCap homepage, and if you just go on the homepage, these two should pop up. And basically, we've got the Fear and Greed Index on the left and the Altcoin Season Index on the right. And they're both out of 100, and both of them, the higher the number, the better for us. So the Fear and Greed Index is a sentiment indicator. We want this number to be ideally above 80, and that just tells us there is extreme greed in the market. There's euphoria, all the positive emotions that we would expect in a bull run. And the Altcoin Season Index on the right, we want to see this ideally above 75, and that just tells us that altcoins as a whole are wildly outperforming Bitcoin, and that's again what we want to see in a bull run. So basically, when you combine these two at very high numbers, you get the perfect storm where you get these frenzies in crypto where coins do these 2x's, 5x's, 10x's, even 100x's in the shortest space of time. And of course, when there's a lot of positive emotion in the markets, we generally tend to see the riskier small cap cryptos like SAI perform better than larger cap cryptos. And that is how we get these frenzies where coins do these multiples in the shortest space of time. So when we see those numbers close to 100 on the Fear and Greed Index and on the Altcoin Season Index, that is when we could see SAI make a massive rally like we saw back at the start of 2024 up to these upper price targets here. So those are the things that I'm looking out for in the longer term. Of course, if you are a longer term holder here on SAI and you don't really care about the shorter term price moves, this is something intuitive that you can just browse at every now and then. And if these two numbers are ridiculously high, that should be a decent sign to tell you to consider potentially selling some of your holdings here in crypto. So, of course, that's pretty much what I wanted to say about SAI. Of course, if you can tell from the video, I am pretty bullish here on SAI, both in the shorter term because of our triangle and in the longer term because of a breakout from this upper resistance and these fib levels that we have here. Of course, thank you guys for watching this video. Do let me know down in the comments if you are holding any SAI. And of course, if you want me to cover any other cryptos, let me know down in the comments as well. I'll take a look at the charts of them, and if I like them, I will make a video about them. Of course, thank you once again. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.